This video, what we're going to do is prepare the cartridge in the head shell for setup and alignment on the actual turntable itself. So what you're seeing here in front of you now is the Cartridge Protractor. I showed you 3 examples of this in an earlier video. I think it's the setup tools kit video you need to look at, and this is the one that I'm going to be using. It's the Garrott Brothers Cartridge Alignment Protractor. It's rated by hi-fi enthusiasts as being one of the more accurate versions that you can use, but if you don't find that, by all means look at any of the standard ones that you'll find in the packaging with your cartridge. For instance, this is a Rager protractor, and you might find similar in Shure or Autofont cartridges as well. Okay, so you take the cartridge protractor, you look at the center spindle hole there, and then you just place that over the center spindle like so. I'll show you exactly what you're going to be doing, but a lot of it has to do with these vertical lines and the horizontal line going across. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking your cartridge, and what you're going to try and do is the front of the cartridge here. What you're going to do is line up the front of the cartridge perfectly square within 2 parallel lines at two positions along this protractor. So you place the protractor onto the spindle like so, then you'll lift up the arm with the cartridge. Now you'll notice here that it still has the guard, and what you'll need to do is, holding the head shell securely, you'll need to just slip off that Stylus guard. So I'll put that out of the way there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to need to do some more close work. So what I've done here is zoomed in on the actual cartridge protractor so that you can see the vertical and horizontal lines. And what I'm going to do now is take the cartridge which I'm trying to set up, and I'm going to try and line it up so that the cartridge body is in between those lines. Now the way that the protractor instructions are provided, they say that you should start by trying to line up the cartridge with position 1, stylus position 1. So what you're doing is you're trying to drop the needle directly onto the mark on the cartridge protractor, and you see this point here right in the center of these grid lines. There'll be a little dot mark there. You need to drop the needle directly onto that mark. Onto that mark. And what you should be doing now is you should be looking for the sides of the cartridge should be within the grid lines or the parallel lines of the protractor. So that's stylus position 1 on the protractor. Now what you do is, on this Garrett protractor there's a second position also. What you should do is gently place the stylus on that second position, and what you're doing is again looking at the alignment of the sides of the cartridge within those parallel lines. Now I can see in that it's slightly to the right of these lines, so in order to get the most accurate positioning, what I'm going to need to do is, now some people will have to do this in situ, because if it's a rigid tone arm with not a detachable head shell, they'll have to do this in situ, but I can do this by removing the head shell. You remember, unscrewing it from its mounting position here, just placing the tone arm back into its mount, and then I can just remove the cartridge and head shell and make my adjustments with my screwdriver. And what I'm trying to do is when I place this back onto the protractor, I'm trying to get this to sit exactly where it needs to in the protractor. Okay, so I take the head shell, bring it back to position 1, drop the needle onto that stylus position point 1, and then I check the sides again. This time it's much better. Yep, aligning very well on position 1. Bring it to position 2. Aligning very nicely on position 2. So, I think within the parameters I set for myself, I think that's a good position for the cartridge and the head shell to be lined up on the platter.